Today, I want to share some lessons we learned from building AutoGen, building the AG2 open source agent OS, and also by observing the practice from the community using our open source software. Here's a brief agenda. I want to briefly mention the concept of agent OS and why we need that, and then talk about the key concepts in AG2 and also the recent progress. And I also want to share a lot of interesting lessons we learned from the community and share how you could also learn the same and build agents together. Well, I guess we will have questions in the end. Then feel free to share your questions. And if you are online, feel free to share that in the chat. So let's get started. I want to begin with the motivation. We started like 2 years ago when we started building AutoGen. The bet we made was a big one. That is when we observed the power of generative AI technology. We were thinking, where this new type of technology evolution leading us? What is a way to maximize the power of these language models and build really useful applications? We made the very early bet that the agentic AI is going to be the future, so that we can build applications and make agents to execute increasingly complex tasks on behalf of ourselves. There are a few important points. The first one is that these agents have really natural interaction interface, so that we can tell them what they want to do and iterate and refine our requirements in the most natural way. And second, they can really do things that far beyond what the simple generative technique and beyond generating high quality content, text, and images, and really execute things from end to end and finish a very big project. So that's a promising future. And the third one is less talked about, but I think it's also really important. That is when we think one more step further. In future, one can build such agents everywhere to all sorts of different things. We can also connect them and make the multiple agents interact and solve even more complex tasks. In that time, we will find that the software can be fundamentally built in a very different way, because these agents will replace the old low-level programming concepts like the functional programming or object-oriented programming. We can have the chance of build software in agentic-oriented way, so that a lot of the tasks can be automated to the agents, and we will need to just think about how we make these agents work together. To give an example about what I mean by these several dimensions, let's look at one recent interesting use case from Cambridge. This is a use case from the cosmology department. Boris Bollet is a pioneer of applying our technique in analyzing the huge volume of cosmology data sets. The total volume is actually larger maybe than the internet traffic. That's what I didn't know before. But we really have a lot of challenging data analytics tasks. And after they use AG2, they were able to fully reproduce what usually took a human analyst a full day of work in just tens of seconds, and completely written just by the agents. And the result matches very well with the human capability. It was not trivial, because initially they built something that requires human in the loop, and later they made a lot of improvements and used the latest feature from AG2. They're able to get human out of the loop, so fully automated that. And here's a demo showing how it works in a Jupyter Notebook environment. So when you use this system, we can ask the question. That's a highly domain specific, and it's really hard. After that, the multiple agents will start working together to solve the tasks. So initially, here we see a planner agent using a GPT-4o to generate an initial plan. And also, there's another agent to record that plan in a nice format. And so the plan recorder will send that then to another agent called plan reviewer, which can use a different model, like Claude model in this case. And the reviewer will make recommendations to find problems in this current plan. And then the first planner will again try to revise the plan, maybe using the GPT model again, and revise the plan. So here's the updated plan. So after a few iterations back and forth, we can switch to the execution mode. So during execution, there are also multiple agents. First one is called the researcher. The researcher will try to follow the first step in the plan, and using maybe yet another different model, let's say in this case Gemini model, and try to do some research, deep thinking, and come up with the result. And the response from that agent will also be formatted by some research response formatter to make a nice markdown format. Here we can see some initial analysis done by the researcher, and the researcher also will suggest some code that needs to be executed by some executor agent. The executor agent is not based on language model. It just takes the code suggested by other agents and execute them. And some of the agents actually uses some domain-specific software that's specific in analyzing the cosmology data. So in that way you can add different domain knowledge to your multi-agent team and make them perform really sophisticated tasks that's often require using other tools in your domain. So we can see that this is just an example way of having an initial plan and making different agents following the plan, and also have the iteration back and forth to make sure the task can be executed in a nice way. So lots of lessons have been learned from this practice. And it's not trivial. It's not trivial to actually achieve this human out of the loop, fully automated and mixed pipeline for such a difficult task. In the end, they found that the agent can often perform tasks that takes maybe a graduate student 3 days and still couldn't solve it, but the agent only needs a few minutes to solve it. And also, there is also some new interesting science results discovered by such multi-agent team that is really can push the frontier, not just to do repetitive tasks that human already does, but can also discover new knowledge. So that's really promising, and we have observed similar achievements in other domains as well. And here are some very useful lessons to learn from this particular use case, and they're highly non-trivial. And probably the most important lesson is about the planning and control strategy. It's really not trivial to have multiple agents following a nice plan, because even if we just do it in a naive way, maybe we could have some nice plan, but the agents would not always follow it, or if the plan itself can be flawed. So while it sounds like intuitive, it actually requires a lot of different fine-tuning of the workflows to make it really work. And things like update the persistent message dynamically and use the best models available. And my key point is that before the domain expert figure out a really nice solution for their specific application, they really need to explore in a very large design space to optimize for all those different metrics and make all the hard choices, such as the models, the prompts, the tools to use, the orchestration between language model tools and human inputs, and so on. So there's a huge amount of decisions they need to make. And the idea of building an agent OS is to abstract out this common kind of infrastructure work, make it really intuitive to explore all the different choices and simplify their thought processes, so that eventually they're able to explore a very large design space that no one has tried before and find out really working patterns that has a lot of novelty. And we want to basically minimize unnecessary complexity and make the whatever components people have built reusable among like one team themselves and also across different teams. And AG2 is an example of such open source agent OS that follow these goals. And it has several, it has multiple kind of important design decisions to make that possible. It has a very intuitive, unified agentic abstraction, allows very flexible multi-agent orchestration, and allows composable agentic design patterns. These different concepts can be explained in a very simple way in a single slide. And here are the most essential key concepts. We want developers to think about any arbitrary complex applications in simply 2 steps. The first is to define the agents of different roles, and the second step is to make them to talk, and using a notion called conversation programming. Here, the conversable agent abstraction is very generic. All the agents have the same interface to send messages, receive messages, generate replies, and use their underlying backends. And the backend can be either natural language model or non-model tools or human inputs. So it unifies these several different type of components and makes the reasoning process really simple. So they only need to think about the agents and not about the specific backends, but they can easily switch from different backends. And then after that, they mainly need to think about how to use these primitive agents and compose a stronger system or a stronger single agent using these multiple relatively simpler agents. And they can recursively do this. For example, they can have the simply two-agent conversation, taking turns, or have more complex patterns like sequential chats, nested chat, group chat, or some special form of group chat called swarm chat. These can be adapted to different situations. Sometimes you want more controllable workflows, and sometimes you want more flexible dynamic workflows. And you can all combine these different building blocks and construct actually complex system. But the system can remain modular so that you don't need to rewrite the whole system, and you can reuse a lot of the components again and again. For example, you can, once you build a strong agent, you could keep using that for the same functionality and only add agents to do new things when necessary. And here are some examples in this three category about new features in G2. They all use the same kind of simple concepts, but gradually we are able to build richer and richer functionalities. And here's one example of the captain agent that is basically able to take a user's input, analyze that, generate plans, and you use the existing agent library or existing library of tools and build a team consisting of both existing agents and new agents generated on the fly, and equip them with all the tools, and then put them together in the group chat to solve the task. After the group chat finishes, this task is not necessarily solved completely, so there's a reflection process and to reflect what is not working and go back to the planning revision stage and build the team again and try to solve again until the task is finished. But when users use this captain agent, they don't need to design the specific agents or specific multi-agent system themselves. A lot of this decision can be automated by the captain agent. And when we use that more, the newly generated agents can also be added to the agent library. So over time, it can also improve. And a lot of interesting use cases we found from the community and learned really interesting lessons, just like the one I showed you earlier. On the high level, we found that the agent native design from AutoGen and G2 empowers domain experts to explore this large design space nicely, so enable them to build very diverse and highly sophisticated use cases and even achieve top performance on very challenging benchmarks. So in the next part, I want to share some of them. And I want to first mention that it's actually a long journey. About 6 years ago, I started this open source project called FLAML, focusing on automating machine learning and hyperparameter tuning. And about 2 years ago, we started building this AutoGen framework inside the FLAML project. Until in October 2023, we moved to a standalone repo on GitHub. And that time it was still called AutoGen. And that's the time we got a lot of traction. Professor Qing Wu from Penn State University and myself were like the earliest builders of this software. And over time, we get more and more contributors and get a lot of recognition and achievements from both of the open source world, and got a lot of interesting use cases from both enterprise company and the startup companies. And over time, we have evolved a lot. And recently, we have made a new fork called AG2. That's a community governed new home for this development. So all the founders and the original maintainers are working on this new fork. And now we have a very large community on Discord, and we have learned so many interesting lessons from the community. Here's a like very small selection of example production use cases. We can see that they span across many different domains, from agent platforms, autonomous trading, chip designs, to many other cases like marketing, finance advising, patient healthcare, software engineering, web automation, and so on. If you were in the Google Cloud Next event last week in Las Vegas, there was a session about how to build open source agents and the best practices. We have a customer from Walmart.
Bring up Jason.
Share lessons. So it's available on YouTube, so you can actually watch the video to learn about their use cases. And there are many more community talks we hosted regularly on our Discord community. They're of different categories. The red ones are the ones that talk about specific use cases using our open source framework in many different domains. And the blue ones are some interesting research, latest research about agent and agentic AI. And also there are green ones that talk about progressing the ecosystem or partnerships. So there are very diverse backgrounds from industry, from researchers, and also from our users and partners. And for example, this is one special community talk about how a very small team in South America was able to build a very cheap and but highly performing coding agent that's able to achieve top performance in the 3-bench light, which is a very difficult software engineering benchmark. They were able to fix half of the bugs using less than $1 per fix, and only need to spend a few minutes. So that's highly impressive. And you can find other interesting talks like this. And we also have a repo called Build with AG2 that contains reference agent applications and also external projects pointers. It's still under construction, so it's definitely far from complete, and we hope to complete that over time. That's the main part of my presentation. If you have more questions, welcome to join our very large community on Discord, and also find me on different platforms. So this is like a joint effort. There's a lot of contributors and users, and we learn like new knowledge every day. I hope you enjoy like this journey, and together with also other agent builders. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your attention.